أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. All praise are due to Allah for your generous grace, which we have been blessed with. O Allah, make us use your grace with your satisfaction. O Allah, give us the strength and the honesty in the performance of our duties. O Allah, bless us in every project and every period and every effort we make, and write us your satisfaction on all that we have accomplished and achieved. O Allah, give us of every work we do and the way we do it guidance from you, happiness and the pleasure for us and for everyone in our community. O Allah, we ask your blessing when we leave this place. O Allah, bless us in our families, in our homes. O Allah, I bear witness to you that all of my grace is from you, and all what will be of me is a blessing of you. You alone have no partner for you. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Please rise and join me at the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We will now move on to our agenda order approval. We need to move item number 6 from the consent agenda to the action agenda because that's actually an ordinance.
With that change, I would move to approve the agenda order.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll now move to council business.
Mayor, I'm wondering if, at least for my own edification, if maybe Kit or Paul or whoever the appropriate person is could enlighten me on street light repair. I know we have contracted with a company, but there's a number of lights that are out around that I've noticed in town, and I know there's a process. I want to know for me so I can help follow it, because along Coal Creek and Third West and other places, there's a lot of lights out right now.
Basically, the process is they get reported to Public Works. Public Works generates a list for the contractor every month. The contractor goes out and fixes as many he can every month.
What do we need? Just the location of the pole?
Yeah.
Is there a number on the pole?
I don't know if they're all numbered.
Some of them.
We just need a general identification, because
Give us an address and they'll go to the one where the light doesn't work.
what if we can't find it's along Coal Creek. It's the third light down from blank,
How about-
blank,
How
blank.
about Coal Creek, half a block north of 200
Okay,
West?
got it. That I can do.
That one's good.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Yep.
Great Eagle Scout project.
All right, are there any other council comments? No? Okay, then we'll move on to staff comments. If there are any. No? Okay, perfect. We'll move on to our business agenda with our public comment portion. If anyone is here, okay, I know there are a number of you here to address the council. Please keep your remarks brief so that we can get through everyone, and state your name or I will cut you off to have you state your name. So if you would like to come up to the microphone.
My name is Andrea Nelson. This is not a place I ever wanted it to be.
This is
But
a
there's
fun
a
place.
But there's a few concerned citizens that is mostly concerned about the process and the way in which the school district and the school board approached discussing, and really the lack of discussion based upon the name of the Cedar High School. There was I will begin reading a letter to the editor that was published in the Spectrum that kind of basically sums it all up. It says, "Surely you hate being stabbed in the back. ICSD betrayed a community with a 3-2 vote to remove Redmond as the logo of Cedar High School. Founded in the 1940s, CHS honored Native Americans in the area with the name Redmond, building unity. Now that has been eradicated under the guise of political correctness, deceit, and anonymity, leaving destruction and disunity. A few of the many egregious acts perpetuated secretly by certain powerful district personnel include: 1, this was a top-down edict, unquestioned by the board president. There have been no lawsuits filed. There have been no lawsuits threatened. There's been no police reports of bullying, anything warranting discussion. There's been no petition filed by an entity for a change. This was a top-down edict. We have found out now that this discussion started 2 to 3 years ago in secret without telling the community. They decided what they were going to do and began implementation without any community input. Not until late November of 2018 was the community invited to any public forums for discussion. At that point, you could tell, I was there to all 3 of them, that the decision had already been made. When my husband asked the superintendent, it seems like this decision has already been made, she said no. I knew for a fact that the Redmond logo had already been taken off the high school stationery, and coaches had already been told they couldn't use Redmond on their uniforms because it would be too expensive to change when it wasn't Redmond anymore. That had happened before she told me that. I hate being lied to by a public official. Number 2, the only academic evidence cited as a reason for change was shown to be false. The one thing that was academically presented as a reason for change was shown to be false. And I can show you that evidence. The committee was a ruse. This was not a volunteer committee. I heard early on in October that they were forming a committee. There was not a public announcement. Anybody who would like to serve on the committee, please put your name in and then we'll draw. They chose the committee. The school board president's wife was on the committee, which is technically not illegal, but certainly improper and shows conflict of interest. And she was one of the ones that presented to the school board the choice to change the name. That's like, hey, I'm in a beauty pageant and I might want my husband to judge that. Anyway, so the committee was a ruse. It was selected for input, included the board president's wife, and used good citizens and students. They had students on this as pawns to further their devious designs. The Sunshine Law forced the committee's last secret meeting into the open. So a public input committee meeting in secret is kind of a contradiction of terms. Luckily, one of the people in the community forced that last meeting to be open. It should have all been open. There's been no discussion of funding provided, none whatsoever. In our research, this is a very expensive proposition. One of the people that are concerned about it sent an email to the superintendent and asked, how are you funding this? The reply was, well, we can do it without any big problem, which tells us that somebody's been squirreling the money away for 2 to 3 years, and there's been no public discussion. And by the own school board's handbook, they're supposed to have public notices of what they're doing with the money, especially if there's a large expenditure. Other schools that have been forced to do this, it's $800,000 to $1 million. That's a lot of money, especially when the Cedar Middle School's roof is leaking. So that committee was not a fact-finding committee. They were handed a binder, which I have here, that is 99% one-sided. Most of the information in this binder came from the Center for Political, I'll get the actual name right here. It is called, the Center for American Progress. This is the most liberal, leftist think tank in Washington, D.C. started by John Podesta. And we could write a book about that.
Don't talk that long about it.
Okay, you get the idea. So this is, and it was all one-sided. There was never a discussion on the other side presented to the committee. They received letters from the community stating opinions. From our research, most of the letters came in support of retaining the name, but they dismissed that. They dismissed their constituency. And that to us is a huge, huge, big problem. One of the, as this went on, we found that there is a great organization in the United States called the Native American Guardians Association, who have gone around telling, educate, don't eradicate. It helps the Native American much more. But more than that, the problem is we never had the opportunity to have that discussion. Let's have a debate. Let's have a discussion. Let's have public input. The public input forums were a charade and an insult to our intelligence and to the community. And so I guess what we're really asking is that, because we know that you can't tell what the school board to do. We understand that. But we think we should be able to, at least as a community, express displeasure in the process, in the undemocratic process that this went about in. Let's have a committee, let's have a vote. We've tried to petition. There has been a petition filed for a referendum. But for a referendum to happen, it has to be a legislative body. The Utah Code is very vague as to if that is a legislative body, and we are waiting for ruling on that. We have tried the appeal process. The Utah State School Board requires the school boards to have an appeal process. Our school board does not and refuses to get one. So every avenue we've tried for democratic process, we're shut down. The school board is all powerful. They report to nobody, and there's no public recourse for a really bad decision that affects a lot of people. It may be something else later down the road, and there is no recourse. And that's really what we're most upset about, is that the public is completely left out of any decision. And that's all I can remember I wanted to say right now. The Native American Guardians did say this. As seen elsewhere, NAGA anticipates that the once native-centric city will be thrown into division and turmoil. It happens every time a community's long-standing identity is removed against its will. And that's exactly what's happened here. Thank you very much for listening.
Andrea, can I get copies of any of the stuff you read?
Yes, I'd be happy to. I have copies. The one APA study that they cited, I have a whole page, a whole packet on why that was such a bad study and not representative and poor methodology of that study. You can have all of this. We could give them your copy for right now of the binder if you'd like, and then we can make other copies for ourselves.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of what you read so that we can attach that with the public record.
Yeah, be happy to.
So it's just that stuff.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Tony Cosilia. I'm the president of Voices of Iron County Education that we have formed. I'm not a public speaker. I am not a politician, so please forgive me on not being able to speak that well. But I am a resident here for 25 years, proud resident of this great community. I've raised my kids. My son is a freshman at Cedar High, and we started this because of the Redmond change. My son is Native American. He does not find it disrespectful. He actually finds it very prideful and powerful for him. However, along this journey, it's not just about this name. I've seen the corruption that the school district has given. They're blanketed with this power. There is no recall. I tried to get a petition to recall them, found out that that is not possible, found out that the only way that they can be removed is if they commit a felony. We can impeach a president but we can't remove a school board member. Something needs to be done about that. That is one of the reasons we have gone on course with this. Some of their other agendas that they have is soon to be gender neutral locker rooms. Not that I can't speak for everybody, but that's not something I want my son who plays football to have to do, or anybody else. I don't think that's appropriate. That may be appropriate for other places, but I don't think that stands for our community values. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. I don't care what New York is doing. I don't care what California is doing. This is my home, and I am not going to stand for these type of things. And I think that the community backs that. So let's go back to the Redmond. 3 people shouldn't have had a say on an entire community. That's not democratic. That's socialism. I've asked them to put a pause on this and research it a little bit farther. Steve Allen smirked at me and laughed. That's not okay. He knows he has the power, though. So what I'm asking, I can stand up here all night too, and I won't take up your time. You guys got voted in here under democracy, as it all should be. You guys are all part of this great community. You guys represent our community. You guys should have a say in this too. I want to know where you guys stand on this situation. I want to know your opinions. Everyone, Steve Allen and Shannon and Rich Nelson all say that I'm crazy. I'm the minority. But yet they won't listen to me to put it on a ballot. If they're that confident in it, what do they have to lose? Why are they so afraid? Why do they already have a committee changing the name, writing a new song? That's already been announced. They're already giving stuff away. People are already receiving stuff because it's a done deal. They've said that they're going to destroy it because it stands for racism. That's a sin. That's a shame. I can't even begin to think of all the trophies and history and people and culture and everything from this community, from every ethnic background that has represented that school. 3 people got to decide for an entire community. I'm asking for your guys' support. I know that you can't go and change that vote. But you know what? If you stand behind me, I sure as hell bet you Steve Allen won't laugh at me again. One way or the other, if I have to run against him to remove him and prove 2 years down the road that this is what the community wants, I'll do it that way. I'm fine with that. But voices should be heard. The people's voices should be heard. That's the democratic process. That's what makes this place great, is that we all should have a say. We all should have a vote. At least that's my understanding. So I'm asking you guys, where do you stand? Mr. Adams, Mr. Cousins, Mr. Phillips, Mr. Isom, Ms. Hartley, Ms. Edwards, all of you, where do you stand on this?
I'll start.
Yes, sir.
I'm extremely disappointed in the decision. I'm not a Cedar Redmond. I'm from Moab, but
Nor am I, by the way. I'm actually one of these transplants.
yeah, but my kids are, and my wife is from here, and you know, my wife is very non-political, but I've never seen her more upset in my life over this issue. And I think that I think it was best said in one of the meetings I went to. I went quite a few of them, but I think that it was best said when, and it might have been Mrs. Nelson, maybe your comment, I can't remember, but I think they said they might have to change the New York Giants because it might offend midgets. I think maybe was that you that said that? So I think eventually, as we go down this slippery slope, I think that as we cater to the politically correct movement, I think that every one of these names are in jeopardy. I think the Red Devils, from where I'm from, I think the Snow Canyon Warriors. I think, where does it end, right? I think I heard it best say that pretty soon we're just going to have to give every school a zip code because maybe that won't be offensive to someone. So I'm extremely disappointed, and I support your efforts. So.
Thank you.
I likewise, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool red man. I've lived in Cedar for 61 years. I was very upset with the decision. I don't see the connection. I know these new groups, quote, have all these different movements coming in for different issues. And this one is one that hit me hard. I went to school with the Paiutes out here. I was very good friends with most of them. I was labeled as an artificial red man. It didn't offend me at all. You know, we all worked, played, and had fun together. I just don't understand all the, I mean, I've read a lot on it, heard lots of comments, and I just don't fully understand, you know, that there's, and like you and Andrea mentioned, Andrea and I are classmates, that, you know, where's the proof? I mean, they claim they've had potential lawsuits, you know, and then I hear, no, they haven't. But really, I do believe, let me just say, as a political body, the school board needs to be open like we are and having these meetings. You know, they're open to the public. They are elected by the public, and they need to, you know, to make these issues up so you can have a discussion on them like we try to do on everything. And I think we do a pretty good job. You know, tough issues are hard. Nobody likes to, you know, but people get one-sided sometimes in their opinions. And at that point, you can't have a discussion because nothing will ever get resolved unless, you know, you can give and take a little. So I will say that much.
Okay.
I'd like to hear from the rest of the people that want to talk.
Mr. Isom?
My parents were raised in Hurricane, but I spent most of my life in California, so I'm a refugee from California. Proud of it, actually. 15 years, and I guess my biggest concern about what has happened with respect to the name is we have a lot of the politics that I escaped finding their way into our community, and I don't want this to be California East.
I am also from California, and I agree.
Well, you're forgiven for that, as I am.
I know. I apologize.
But it's just so that's my opinion. I mean, I don't like the tendency in the direction that we're taking.
I also am a Cedar High alumni, and I was disappointed to see that happen. I'm not one that buys into a lot of conspiracy theory, and so I try and trust the process that it went through. I know both sides are claiming they did it right. The other side, no, they didn't. Somewhere in the middle maybe lies the full truth. I don't know, because I'm not on the school board and we don't have any jurisdiction over them. I was disappointed. The way I've tried to look at it is that, yeah, I don't want the mascot changed, but it doesn't detract from my education, from my experience that I had there. And so I've tried to trust the process that they were taking through. They are elected officials, and I hope they did the right thing. I don't know.
As elected officials, do you not agree that they should be able to be removed if they're through a process?
Yes,
yourself?
I do, but I think that's a policy and a track you have to set up. You can't just go in and do it.
I was kind of curious about, you said you went to the state school board, because that seems to be, I mean, that's who has jurisdiction over our, local school board, and I don't know what happened there, if there are really no options there. So
that's that gentleman right there.
Okay, thanks, Deb. So I guess I have more questions than answers. So
as most of us through this process.
And that's where I am right now. I went to all three of the meetings as well, the public meetings, and I listened to every one of them. I'm not from here. But I I am still waiting to find out what all the reasoning is behind it, and why was there apparent urgency to make the change without longer due process. And I'm hoping, and I applaud you all for your efforts, because democracy is the way it happens. I mean, we don't always agree up here at the table, but at the end of the day, when the vote is taken, we walk away and we move on in the best interest of the city. And so I'm trusting that once you sort of go through the due process, that can be the avenue in which you take for the betterment of the entire community. I have never seen anything. I don't want to make too strong a statement here, but I'm quite astounded by the amount of divisiveness that has come about in our community because of this, and it's unfortunate that it had to happen.
I agree, and that's also why I asked him. I tried to tell Mr. Allen and the board last night, I said, let's put it on a ballot. If it wins to get the name changed, I will personally help everybody else with the smooth transition and we move on. But if it remains, if it's voted to stay, then you will support that decision and we will move on. And instead of polarizing one another, we will bring a community back together and be great.
Sure.
That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, makes sense.
Ms. Edwards?
Still not quite used to all that reference with the name, but
I actually wasn't sure which one.
yeah,
It was this last
we
name.
just do them all. So I am disappointed overall in how this has divided our community. We're better than this as a community. When you look at threats and how it has become so personal to everyone, I mean, when people are being targeted, we're better than that. And I look at this issue as this isn't what represents Cedar City. This isn't the community that we love. This isn't the community that we all want to live in and to make better. And so the fact that this one issue has divided us so much, really, it upsets me. And if that meant that there should be longer process, I know that there are times where we as a body and the city vote on issues that not everybody likes. And that's how the process works. And we have 3-2 votes, and we have 4-1 votes, and we have, all the different variations, 5-0. And people walk away not always happy, but it doesn't lead to threats of violence and all of that. And that's not our community. And so as a whole, we need to be better as a community, as everything. As far as the process and all of that, I'm not part of this school board, and I wasn't privy to all of the information they had. So I don't know. I was graduated from Cedar High. I was super involved when I was there. All of my family graduated from Cedar High. It's a legacy of our community, and so I hate to see that go, but I know we're better than what we have demonstrated over the last little while, and I want us, one way or another, to reunite as a community and become again the Cedar City that we all love and that really truly demonstrates who we are.
Do you think that a public vote would do that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, it could, but Cedar City proper, we don't have the jurisdiction to put it onto a public vote.
No, I understand that. I was just
But,
asking your opinion.
And it might show one way or another, and that could be this is that. But at the same time, we all, and hopefully this gets more people involved in the school board process, just like decisions that as council we make tend to get people more active and engaged in the process and get people to run for office. Some of the school board members ran unopposed. Get people to be engaged and involved in the process and involved in the meetings and involved in what goes on and who represents us and the decisions they make. We all need to do better as a community if we want change, we need to be part of the process.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Or-
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Thanks.
Apologize, but I gotta go home. Quick, mine's quick, very quick.
You still have to state your name.
Tina Dickinson.
Thank you.
Vicki Graham. And I was a Red Devil before I got to be a California refugee. So we just wanted to bring an issue to the attention of the city council, which is shipping containers being used in the city limits in people's residences and areas. And we kind of want to bring it to the attention and see if we could possibly get an ordinance, because we have quite an extensive amount of materials showing that St. George has been through this, Springdale's been through this, West Valley, pretty much all over Utah and all over the nation. It's gotten to be very popular to put shipping containers in yards. And it tends to then make the area look very, well, I had said downtown Detroit, but I don't want to
Come on, don't pick on
Detroit.
while we're down.
But, I'm not sure that we're shooting for an industrial look where we have the Shakespearean Festival and we're trying to make our downtown look, in such a way that we bring in that tourism. And I think the tourism is extremely important to Cedar City base. I know we have like a 20% poverty rate amongst single moms, and it's actually very high around here. And I think our tourism is very important. And, we brought some information as far as, St. George went through this, and they started in 2013, and then in 2015, they just barely passed an ordinance banning it. We have a number of things to submit so that we could kind of get an ordinance going that could maybe kind of not turn it into, something that I don't think is going to be conducive for our community and keeping kind of the integrity of our community that we want to keep. So that's
Thank
it
you.
for me.
Thank you for bringing it to
Do
our
you guys
attention.
want any of the material?
Please.
I think that's important, and I thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you.
So quick.
Thank
Yes.
you. Yes, thank you.
It's very valid.
Stuff. This is good input.
It is. And she's brought some materials that she's.
Good evening, council. My name's Cheryl Stratton. I'm a member of Voice. We've just formed our PAC to become more involved in the educational process here in Iron County. But we really won't be able to do anything until some things are changed, and we're exploring avenues on how to do that too. We really came up against a roadblock concerning the whole Redmond issue. But I'm going to let you know right now, Redmond issue, although it's very important to me, is not nearly as important as what's going to be coming up soon. I'm very concerned for our children here. I'm very concerned for our community. I too spent the last 31 years of my life in California. Came back home to rest, to nest, to live out the rest of my life. I've come back to a city, a county, and an education, Iron County education that's been infiltrated. We had the Answer Coalition involved in this whole, they want to call it mascot, I will properly call it symbol issue. We had Not Your Mascot, which is another national movement, liberal, very liberal leaning, involved in this. And because of their non-disclosure, I am going to wager that just about every bit of this process has liberal, progressive slant to the whole thing. We will have those answers soon. I want to get on to a couple other things here. They're spending the money for this. I want to know where that funding came from. They have not answered where their funding's coming from. They ignored the petitions that we gave them, which is only representative of the entire population of Cedar City, Iron County. That was an 80-20 split in favor of keeping the Redmond symbol. Springdale, Utah, when coming against the same issue, wisely put it to a public vote, avoiding all of the division that it would have caused if the school board had ruled the way that they wanted to, possibly. And I'm going to bring up a very important piece of material that I found. was given, and I'm going to read it because last night I was cut off at 1 minute. We weren't allowed to have our 3 minutes to talk before the school board. While the school board and district are spending a lot of time and money trying to push the liberal agenda that has not been proven to help any Native American students, and there are no studies to prove otherwise, the students here are missing out on a lot. Here's a quote from U.S. News. Cedar City High School is unranked in the national ranking. Schools are ranked based on their performance on state-required testing and how well they have prepared students for college. Desert Hills High School in St. George has ranked in the national rankings and earned a silver medal. Schools are ranked based on their performance on state-required tests and how well they prepare students for college. CHS has a college readiness index score of only 13.2%. Desert Hills is at 28.1. In reading proficiency, CHS is at 38%. Desert Hills is at 53. In math, the Redmen are at 38% proficiency. Desert Hills is at 54. If the Iron County School Board is truly interested in the best ways of helping our children to become productive adults in this society, they need to put their interest towards the really important things. Our kids need to be educated. That's about all I have to say.
Can I get a copy of that statement?
I have one question for you, ma'am.
Ton of notes.
That's okay.
If Springville can bring this before the voters, Springville, I believe she meant. Why can't we?
That's our point, sir. There's
Well,
no
they have a school board.
openness.
We'll go to the state school board.
We've got a lot of steps we're going to be taking.
Are you the answer on that?
Yeah.
In here, I thought this was going to be a short meeting.
That's right.
You thought it was going
Do
to
you
be
want
short.
copies of all that stuff back? Do you want a copy of all of that paperwork back?
I would like mine, yeah. Well, no, just hers. Mine, I got on my computer. They're on my notes too, but I got on the computer.
Good evening, Council. My name's Dale Slosser. I'm a member here in the Cedar City area, and I appreciate your time being here and listening to the public. Secondly, I appreciate the time that you have not got a clock up on the wall timing us to give us an exact time, and I appreciate that.
It's behind you, Dale.
Well, you're not timing us.
Yeah.
I'm watching every second.
That t-shirt,
Tick,
that
tick, tick,
t-shirt
right?
is very subtle.
You might know where I stand on this issue, right? But to get to what I want to talk about, and that is the process of our school board. And again, I know that this isn't your fight as a council. I believe it's a fight for you as an individual, and that's where I stand on this. The school board on February 5th made a ruling, took a vote, and voted to eliminate the Redmond name from Cedar High School. Immediately starting to wonder what the process was to what can we do, where do we get that on the ballot, how do we do that? We found that we have 5 days after that vote to put a petition to the county clerk to get that on a referendum. So myself and several others included put forth our name and information and presented that to the county clerk on that Friday within the 5-day notice. So that is there. We are waiting on the Iron County Attorney's Office to make a ruling as to whether or not where the board stands, as you've already heard today. If he rules that we can proceed, then we move forward to a vote to the people. If he rules against that, then that avenue is struck down. So looking further, wondering what else we can do. I went to their website, theirs being the Iron County School District, and looked to see what their appeal process was. They have none. There's nothing listed. They're a board, right? No appeal. Who do we appeal to? So I contacted the state school board and talked to their legislative folks. And they said that school boards are to have an appeal process. And they asked me who it was. I said it was Iron County. And you can hear some typing in the background, kind of like Renan over there. And she goes, "You're right, there isn't one." I said, "Okay, so what's the process?" She says, "You need to notify them and see what their appeal process is. There's nothing listed on their website." So I made that request to the assistant to Shannon Delaney. That was on the 8th when I made that request. On Monday night, I still had not heard anything back from them, so I filed a formal appeal, or at least an intent to file an appeal with the school district. That was sent late at night because I have a day job that runs into the night sometimes. But made that appeal, and at about 10:25 the next morning, I was notified that a law firm out of Salt Lake City had been hired to represent the school board in the appeal process. I was immediately advised that they do not have an appeal process and we have no right to appeal the decision of the board. A little offended at that. Personally, Mayor, you've stated it well. It's time for us to get involved. Not only as a local side, but as on a state level. I think there needs to be some legislation put in place that mandates an appeal process. Maybe it comes to you. Maybe it goes to the county commission. I don't know. But there needs to be an appeal process to that board. You know, and also,
let me ask a quick question. Didn't you say that when you contacted the state, they said that they're required to have one? Isn't there already policies in place, or do they not enforce them?
well, because of the notice from the school board, the Iron County School Board, I have not contacted.
I'm having Siri
I don't know
help
where
us.
that came from,
Came from
but
Siri.
I'm not sure I understand.
So I have not been back in contact with them because that was yesterday afternoon. Again, I work during the day. I have to take time off to deal with that separate from my job. So, but I'm working through that. Yes.
Okay.
That is not. I'm not done.
All right.
Because they, like I said, they told me before that they are to have an appeal process, and they don't have that. So we'll find out what the school board stance is on this as well. But I just want to, I deal with grammar requests myself in the job that I have. But in that request, in notice to them, I just want this to be kind of known. I also filed a request for them, and this is a quote from my request. It's a grammar request to view all documents related to the vote, including but not limited to all emails, minutes, recordings, printed research, files, notes, and correspondence, including any and all text and emails. Is that vague?
Properly so.
What is it? What am I asking for?
You want all information related to anything relative to this discussion?
To the vote?
Yeah.
I don't know how much more narrow I can get. Their response is, your grammar request is too vague to respond to and vastly overboard. I don't know. I'm asking for anything related to the vote.
You attorneys, that doesn't sound vague. It sounds broad and all encompassing, but
So I'm not going to weigh in on that because
I
I don't
understand.
represent them, but there is an appeal process if you've been denied your grammar request.
I understand that.
Okay.
But I'm just, my point being behind that is they've denied an appeal, do not want to have an appeal process, and now they don't want to give any information to the grammar request. There's a problem. Where does it sit? I'm going to take responsibility for it. I'm a voter. I need to do a better job of educating myself when I vote somebody into office. and it's my responsibility to do that. Is that going to change? Absolutely. But, as we talked here tonight, we started with the Redmond name, and it was brought up. The Warrior name, Cedar Middle School Warriors. If you think this is going to stop at Cedar High School, I think we're all wrong if you think that. So I appreciate your time. Appreciate your time listening to us. Appreciate you being here and listening to the people that you represent. Thank you.
Thanks, Dale.
Thanks, Dale.
Are there any other public comments? Okay. Seeing none, then we will move on with our agenda. With the public portion, with our consent agenda. Item number 1, approval of minutes dated February 6th and 13th, 2019. Approval of bills dated February 25th, 2019. Ratify a single event alcohol permit for SUMA, or for SUU SUMA. Approve the correction to the amended lease agreement with Phil Schmidt. Approve land lease with Insight Towers Development for communication tower near the Veterans Baseball Park. Approve a property trade and agreement with Quantum Partners. And approve a cooperative agreement with UDOT for the reconstruction of the UDOT Paint Shop Bridge.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll now move to our action agenda with item number 6, approve abandoning a water line easement at 1600 South near the VA cemetery.
Motion to approve that item. Do we need to talk further about it?
Unless you have questions.
It's an easement we don't use.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just,
There's no water line.
Yeah.
allows us to do what we need to do out there in
Pretty-
connection with the VA
Yeah.
cemetery.
We're not gonna use that easement. We're gonna put
Right.
the water line in the road.
Yeah, nothing's changed since what we discussed last week.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. We'll start with Councilwoman Hartley.
Aye.
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 Bye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Consider adding a master plan sewer line on 200 South from 4200 West to 5300 West.
Okay, we talked about this last week. This is out in the Cedar Meadows area on the Burgess development that's just west of Cedar Meadows to run a water line or a master plan sewer line to the west to connect to our master plan sewer system. So
And again, we really don't have any idea when this might be all built out. It's just going to be put into the master plan, whether it's 15 or 20 years or whatever, right?
yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we'll just roll call starting with Councilman Adams.
Aye.
That took a
Aye.
lot of effort to get that out. Sorry.
Aye.
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 Okay. Item number 10, consider using eminent domain to obtain an easement on property located at 4500 West, 1225 North, and 4500 West, 1300 North for the installment maintenance and maintaining of a sewer line.
So since our conversation last week, I've had no further contact with the Ashdown family. I did receive an email today from Miss Slack making a similar request as the Ashdown family to run the sewer line west of their property along the property line. And if you recall, we went through the options and the increased expense in order to do that.
My only comment would be that I know this is the action meeting and we want to move ahead and whatever the vote ends up being, but assuming that we do vote in favor of moving ahead, can we at least urge that we continue to try to have dialogue with them to see if there's anything in the ensuing time period that we could work through this process to mitigate having to go through the whole process of eminent domain?
I'll personally reach out to both parties again.
Okay.
The issue is, as we talked about last week, we have an appraisal that
Right.
6 property owners have accepted and 2 have not.
Right.
And so there's that. There's just not a lot of give there, but I will continue to reach out.
And we have been working on this for what, about a year and a half now?
Yeah,
Through this
actually,
process.
just under 2 years.
Okay. Well, with that caveat, I will make a motion that we move ahead on this item 10.
Second.
All right, we need a roll call. We'll start with Councilwoman Hartley.
Aye.
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 I
Aye.
Okay. And now, item number 11 is closed session. Can I get a,
So can we adjourn this meeting? I propose that we adjourn this meeting and move into closed session.
Second?
all right, roll call vote, starting with Councilmember Adams.
Aye.
I
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you all for coming and for the respectful manner and the dialogue that we had. I appreciate it.
Thank you all very much.
I was in a meeting with him today and he feels like he.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, about it being.
Thank
Thank you, like, for all your involvement. We applaud you. We'd like to go through the, we need to do it peacefully and get our community back united.
Jonathan, you got this like down. Watch upstairs. Yeah, like 2 times is right. That means we're off. I mean, we're turned off.
Well, but they're claiming that there was, so that's where I say I'm not privy to the information. Was there or was there not? Like,